Hi there, it's Brooke from Quagensia, and in this video I will show you how to import your third-party NinjaTrader indicators into Quagensia N Edition, which is Quagensia's no-code strategy builder for NinjaTrader. Let's get started. All you have to do to import your indicators that are currently supported by Quagensia N Edition and import over 200 drop-down lists from NinjaTrader to Quagensia N Edition is to follow the instructions in the name of this strategy, aptly named Import your third-party indicators into Quagensia by applying this strategy to a chart. Once you do that, just close and reopen Quagensia N Edition and you will have your indicators that are currently supported by Quagensia N Edition and over 200 drop-down lists in Quagensia N Edition, and you can use them in your no-code strategies. Let's go over these steps one at a time and in more detail. First of all, if you ever lose track of this video you're watching now, you can always get back to it by clicking on the item in your My Algos folder that has a green icon next to it. In fact, here it says, Quagensia is better with imported indicators. Click here and select the option to watch the video to learn how to quickly import indicators from NinjaTrader. And if you do that, you can literally click the link right here to watch the video you're watching now. Here is a detailed step-by-step demonstration of how to get your indicators and drop-down lists from NinjaTrader into Quagensia N Edition. The first step is to wait until a time when you are not using NinjaTrader for live trading and are not currently running a backtest or optimization of a strategy. Then, open up NinjaTrader and open up the NinjaScript editor from the New menu of NinjaTrader's main menu. Back in Quagensia N Edition, open up this strategy titled Import your third-party indicators into Quagensia by applying this strategy to a chart by clicking on it and choosing View Strategy. Then, generate its code and send the code to NinjaTrader by clicking this button titled Generate Code and copy code file to NinjaTrader Strategy Code folder. If you have your sound up, you will hear the sound of success from NinjaTrader that indicates that the strategy was received by NinjaTrader and compiled into a format that allows you to use it in the ways that strategies are normally used in NinjaTrader. And there it was. Next, open the NinjaScript output window from the new main menu of NinjaTrader. As long as the NinjaScript output window is open when you run this strategy in the next step, it will display very important information about the successful or failed indicator import process. To import your NinjaTrader indicators into Quagensia N Edition, apply this strategy to a chart in NinjaTrader and enable it, or run a backtest of the strategy in the NinjaTrader Strategy Analyzer. I'll go ahead and connect to the Kinetic End of Day Free market data, and I will open a chart by going to New and Chart, and I'll choose SPY. I will choose Daily. It's free data. And then all I have to do now to import my indicators is to right-click on the chart here and choose Strategies. Scroll down to Q, Import your third-party indicators into Quagensia. Double-click on it, and then enable it. Apply. And click OK. Usually, under normal circumstances for most users, it will take anywhere from less than 20 seconds to up to several minutes for the strategy to finish the indicator importing process, depending on the number of indicators you have and the specifications of your machine. You will know that the indicator import process is finished when a success message, or less likely a failure message, is printed to the NinjaScript output window, as well as to the chart if you applied the strategy to a chart. Here you can see a nice blue success message, and it says that the imported indicators and types file was successfully written to the following file path, And this file path is in the same, it's the same folder as your MyAlgos folder in Quagensia over here. And it just says once you close and reopen Quagensia N Edition, you should be able to use all of your third-party indicators and custom indicators that are currently supported by Quagensia N Edition and use enhanced versions of the NinjaTrader Indicators built into Quagensia N Edition. Here, let's go ahead and just take a quick look at the NinjaScript output window just to see how it looks from there. So again, here you see the nice success message, same thing as in the chart. But if the text in the NinjaScript output window or on the chart, if you apply the strategy to a chart, indicates that problems were encountered during the indicator import process, please do not hesitate to request help in the official Quagensia Discord community. Most indicators will be able to be imported into Quagensia N Edition without issue, but as is the case with all other no-code strategy builders that automatically import or load indicators from NinjaTrader, not all indicators can be imported and used in Quagensia N Edition strategies, and it is impossible for the Quagensia N Edition indicator import process to determine with certainty whether or not a particular indicator and its data series and plots can be used in a NinjaTrader strategy outputted by Quagensia N Edition, or even if a given indicator and its data series and plots can be used in a NinjaTrader strategy at all, since some indicators or some of their data series or plots cannot be used in a NinjaTrader strategy even if the indicator was manually integrated into a strategy by an experienced NinjaScript programmer. Therefore, just because an imported indicator appears in Quagensia N Edition doesn't mean that the particular indicator and all of its plots and data series can be used in a NinjaTrader strategy outputted by Quagensia N Edition. Since it is impossible for Quagensia N Edition to determine which indicators have such limitations, you will need to add an indicator of interest to a Quagensia N Edition strategy and plot it and/or use one or more of its data series to determine if that indicator is supported in the NinjaTrader strategies that are outputted by Quagensia N Edition. In the event that you receive compilation errors in the NinjaTrader NinjaScript editor when you add an untested indicator of interest to a Quagensia N Edition strategy, attempt to plot it and/or use one or more of its data series in the Quagensia N Edition strategy, then generate its code from within Quagensia N Edition and send its code to NinjaTrader. You will need to remove the uncompilable strategy from the NinjaTrader folder to which the strategy was copied. To do this from within the NinjaTrader NinjaScript editor, double-click the Strategies folder in the NinjaScript Explorer pane of the NinjaScript editor if it is collapsed rather than expanded. Then in the list of strategies in the Strategies folder, right-click on the uncompilable strategy that you just copied from Quagensia N Edition and select the Remove option. Then click the Yes button in the window that appears asking you if you are sure that you wish to remove the strategy. Note that the file name of the strategy with the compilation errors will be shown in the NinjaScript file column of the grid at the bottom of the NinjaScript editor that displays the compilation errors. Now, close and reopen Quagensia N Edition. That's the whole process. We've now imported our indicators and our drop-down lists from NinjaTrader into Quagensia N Edition. Notice how that item in the MyAlgos folder that used to have a red X on it now has a green plus on it, and it just says Imported Indicators and Types. This is the file in your MyAlgos folder that contains your imported indicators and imported drop-down lists from NinjaTrader. If you applied the indicator import strategy to a chart in NinjaTrader to import your indicators, as I just did, please remember to turn off this strategy to prevent yourself from unintentionally rerunning the relatively time-consuming indicator import process later. I'm just going to do this by going back into NinjaTrader, and there's a strategy applied to a chart with its output, and let's just go to the NinjaTrader main window, and we'll click on the Strategies tab. Click on our Q Import Your Third-Party Indicators into Quagensia strategy, then right-click on it and choose Remove. And say yes, and it's gone there, it's gone from the chart, and we're good. Let's go ahead and go back to Quagensia N Edition and use an imported indicator and an imported drop-down list. So we'll use it in a new strategy that we will create by cloning a pre-existing strategy. So here's this built-in strategy called Bollinger Bands long entry on breakout above upper band. We will make a copy of it by clicking on it and choosing create new strategy from copy of this strategy. We will change its name to have the word imported before it. I will change the name in this field here to also have imported. This is the name of the strategy inside of NinjaTrader. It's a shortened name with no special characters. So Q underscore imported bull band LE on BO above upper band. And let's save this strategy to our My Algos folder by pressing save. And then this window will open and we'll just save it with this default name there. Great, and there it is. So imported Bollinger Bands long entry on breakout above upper band. I'm going to send this strategy to NinjaTrader just to see how it works as it is before we change it. So I click the generate code button and we will hear a compilation beep in a few seconds. And there was the sound of success. So let's just go ahead and run a quick backtest of this baseline strategy in NinjaTrader by opening the strategy analyzer. Let's choose our strategy. It's Q underscore imported bull band LE on BO above upper band. I will choose Bitcoin 15-minute bars for 2024. Great, so I'll run a quick backtest. Great, so it produced 335 trades. Looking at a chart, so when the price goes above the upper Bollinger Band, it enters. And when the price goes below the middle line of the Bollinger Bands indicator, it exits. The Bollinger Bands indicator used by this Quagensia N Edition strategy is just the Bollinger Bands indicator from NinjaTrader, but it is one of the built-in ones in Quagensia N Edition. Let's change the built-in Bollinger Bands indicator to one of our imported indicators in our strategy. So back to Quagensia. Let's just scroll down from the strategy summary section through the strategy details section. And here we have our input parameters, bull band period and bull band number of standard deviations. And for those of you who are new to Quagensia, these input parameters are the same input parameters that show up in NinjaTrader here. Bull band period 26, bull band number of standard deviations 2. So whatever you enter here and whatever you use as default values here will show up in NinjaTrader. Let's now scroll down to the Bollinger Bands indicator in the internal variables section. This is the built-in Bollinger Bands indicator that comes with Quagensia N Edition that just uses the Bollinger Bands indicator in NinjaTrader. The way you can get to the built-in Bollinger Bands indicator is by clicking on a location where an indicator or a decimal number can go, and then go to Replace Item, and then Indicators built into Quagensia N Edition. And you'll see categorized choices like moving averages, oscillators, volatility, and under bands, envelopes, and channels, you'll see a choice for Bollinger Bands. And this is what I clicked on to set up that built-in Bollinger Bands indicator in our strategy. Let's replace this built-in Bollinger Bands indicator with one of the imported indicators. So leaving the indicators built into Quagensia N Edition folder, let's go to the indicators imported from NinjaTrader folder. Here are all the indicators we just imported, and they are in an alphabetical list from ADL all the way down to Z Lima. So let's replace the built-in Bollinger Bands indicator with something other than the imported Bollinger Bands indicator. I think we will choose the Keltner channel. So let's go ahead and click on the Keltner channel imported indicator. And since we switched the indicator to the Keltner channel, I think we should rename this to Keltner. And let's scroll down and let's go ahead and change the plots of the Keltner channel. So for the midline, let's do green. Let's make it 50% opaque. 100% opaque, 100 is fully opaque, 0% is fully transparent. For plot style, let's choose a solid line but with dashes. And for line width, we'll choose 5. For the upper plot, let's choose aqua. 75% opacity. For the plot style, let's choose dots. And for line width, 10. And for the lower plot, let's make it pink and fully opaque, so no transparency at all. And for the plot style, that's fine, solid line solid, and line width 3. I'm just making this dramatic for the video. That's why the line width will be so big. Okay, so when we go to generate the code now, there'll be some errors because you see here it's Keltner, it says select a plot. That was the Bollinger Band upper band. Instead of selecting a plot for the Keltner channel, which is required, I just want to show you what happens when you try to generate the code for a strategy where all the information is not filled out, like this plot is not selected yet. When you try to generate the code for a strategy like this one, where it's going to have an error, let's just see what happens. So press the Generate Code button. It says, please select a plot for the plot name field. So if you click on it, it will scroll to the problem. And there's a red rectangle around it. And if you put your mouse over the white area, you can see, please select a plot for the plot name field in the tooltip. So let's choose upper. So what's going to happen is if we are currently flat and the close crosses above the Keltner upper band while the close is going up, then we're going to enter a long position. Okay, now if we revalidate, we got rid of one error, but we still have one more error. So click on the validation error. It's going to scroll down to the problem. And what is that? That's the otherwise, if we are long and the close crosses below the Keltner something, then we're going to exit. Okay, so we need to select a plot. Let's choose the midline of the Keltner channel. So let's revalidate and send the code to NinjaTrader. Alrighty, so I think we'll make these dots a lot smaller. 5. And let's make it more transparent. Back in NinjaTrader. Yeah, that's better. So the dots are smaller and they're more transparent, so you can see the candles nicely below the dots. All right. So now let's add an indicator, unlike the Keltner channel, that is imported but is also not part of NinjaTrader. So this Keltner channel is the imported version, so it's imported, of the built-in Keltner channel. Same NinjaTrader indicator built into NinjaTrader, but this one's built into Quagensia. And then the one that we just added to the strategy right here, Keltner channel, is imported from NinjaTrader. Let's now add an indicator from scratch that doesn't come with NinjaTrader. So to do that, we will choose to add a variable. We'll make it an indicator. And for that one, let's see, indicators imported from NinjaTrader. There's one called the VWAP intraday, and it's free. So let's see here. So the VWAP intraday, let's just call it VWAP. And the reason I wanted to show you this one is because it has a drop-down list that we imported from NinjaTrader when we imported the indicators. So let's go ahead and add this indicator. Okay, and let's plot it. Nice. So I'll leave the default plotting options alone, and let's just see what happens when we send it to NinjaTrader just as is. Nice, so hopefully we'll see a plot. And there it is. We just plotted a third-party indicator that we imported from NinjaTrader into Quagensia N Edition. Let's now go ahead and use this indicator as part of our strategy's logic. So we're going to use this indicator, the VWAP intraday that we imported. We're going to use this indicator as part of our entry logic. So right now, if our strategy is flat, and if the close price crosses above the Keltner upper band while the close price is going up, then we enter a position. We enter a long position. Let's go ahead and add a filter condition that includes the VWAP intraday. So click on this condition here and choose Add Condition after me using AND. And let's say is greater than, only enter if the close price is greater than the VWAP intraday. So here's the VWAP. We just added the third-party indicator. And it's saying if the close is greater than the current bar of the VWAP, choose a plot. Let's choose VWAP. Now let's send our strategy back to NinjaTrader. Normally, and if we had more time, we could analyze the performance of the baseline strategy and then see how the performance changes when we add the filter for the VWAP. But for the purposes of this video, we're just going to run the backtest again. Great. So at this point, the only trades that will be taken are when the close price crosses above the upper Keltner line, when the close price is going up, and it is above this VWAP line. Now that we have added a third-party indicator to an entry filter condition, let's switch topics and talk about the imported drop-down lists. So back in Quagensia N Edition, you'll notice that in the VWAP intraday indicator, there's a time frame parameter, and its value is a drop-down list, and the choices are day, week, and month. This drop-down list is not built into NinjaTrader. It came with the third-party indicator. But the import process had to import this drop-down list so that you could even use this imported indicator in Quagensia N Edition. But in addition to all of the drop-down lists from the third-party indicators that are imported, over 200 other drop-down lists that are part of NinjaTrader itself are imported from NinjaTrader into Quagensia N Edition, and you can use them as input parameters of your strategy, as variables. You can use them in lots of ways. So let's go ahead and see where all these drop-down lists are. So I think the best way to do that is let's go ahead and make an input parameter to our strategy that is a drop-down list of the type of the day, month, and week from the VWAP intraday. So day, week, month. Okay, what is this called? If you put your mouse pointer over the time frame input parameter, you can see here it says time frame, enum, time frame imported. So the name of the drop-down list is enum time frame. Okay. So the way that you add a drop-down list as an input parameter to your strategy is click here on decimal number and choose Advanced Data Types, List of Choices, and instead of choosing from the 58 built into Quagensia N Edition drop-down lists like day of week, there are also these imported from NinjaTrader drop-down lists, and they are alphabetical. There's over 200 just from NinjaTrader alone, plus your third-party drop-down lists that came from the third-party indicators. So let's go ahead and find that enum time frame. Yeah, so this enum time frame came from the VWAP intraday third-party indicator. Let's click on it. Okay, and let's make its default value day. And we'll call it VWAP time frame. Okay, and now we're going to use this input parameter as the input parameter of the VWAP intraday indicator we created. So here we have the input parameter to our strategy called VWAP timeframe of type drop-down list day, week, month. So instead of using a hard-coded drop-down list here for time frame, let's just change this input parameter from a hard-coded drop-down list to an input parameter of our strategy. There it is, VWAP time frame. We just made this one. Great. So now this indicator in our strategy that is used as part of our logic and it's plotted will use this drop-down list input parameter as its time frame input parameter to the indicator. Let's go ahead and see what happens when we send this to NinjaTrader. Nice. So check it out. Look at how our VWAP time frame drop-down list that was day, week, and month from our Quagensia N Edition strategies input parameter right here, day, week, and month, how when you add it to the input parameters of your strategy, it shows up as a drop-down list in NinjaTrader. So let's go ahead and just see what happens when we run this with day versus week versus month. Let's see if there's a change in the way things look. Okay, that's the default. That's what we did when we first made the strategy. Let's change it to week. Let's see if this changes a bit. Nice. Oh, and look at that. So not only did it change and it smoothed out the VWAP, but notice how there was this time when the close price went above the upper band of the Keltner channel, but a trade was not taken. Why? Because in our logic, back in our Quagensia N Edition strategy, one of the filter criteria for the entry was the close of the current bar has to be above the current bar of the VWAP, plot name VWAP. And as you can see here, this particular trade, when the close went above those blue dots, the close price is still below this VWAP line. Let's just see if any trades were taken at all. So here we have an example where the close went above, hard to tell, but here it goes. The close went above the blue dots right there, and the close price is above this VWAP line here. So a trade was taken. Great. So the week parameter from this drop-down list here, NinjaTrader, was passed into our strategy and then was passed into the indicator, and the value of the indicator changed because its input parameters changed, and that affected the trades taken by our strategy. Great, so let's just try a month. Let's see if it's too smooth or not. That's very smooth. Well, here's a trade where the close price is certainly above the monthly intraday VWAP line, and the close price also went above the upper Keltner channel line. A trade was taken, and all right, there we have it. So that's what I wanted to show you. Although I want to show you one more thing. Did you know that in NinjaTrader, they did such a good job? You can actually optimize on drop-down list values, not just numbers. So instead of just optimizing, say, a numeric value from like 1 to 10, step 1, you can also optimize on drop-down lists. So you can run one backtest for day, one for week, and one for month for every combination of numeric input parameters on which you're optimizing. Let's do an example. But first, I realize now that this bull band period and bull band number of standard deviations are old. They're from our old strategy that we cloned. When we went in and changed the Bollinger Band indicator to Keltner, we didn't change the offset multiplier to an input parameter, and we didn't set the period of the Keltner channel to an input parameter. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's change the input parameter named bull band period to Keltner period. Let's change the bull band number of standard devs to offset multiplier. And let's change the default. So if the offset multiplier default in the Keltner channel indicator is 1.5, let's make that 1.5. And if the default for period in the Keltner channel indicator in NinjaTrader is 10, let's just go ahead and make the Keltner period input parameter to our strategy 10. Okay, and now let's go ahead and make the Keltner period input parameter to our strategy be the period input parameter to our Keltner channel indicator. So click on the gear icon, input parameters and internal variables, input parameters, Keltner period. And then for offset multiplier, instead of using 1.5, we will replace that with the input parameter to our strategy called offset multiplier. That's it. So that was really quick. Let's just send this to NinjaTrader. And notice we now have Keltner period 10 and offset multiplier 1.5. And these are now live. These are now being used in the Keltner channel indicator that is plotted and that our signals are based on. So let's go ahead and run a backtest. Great. Okay, so now what I want to do is let's run an optimization where we optimize the Keltner period from 10 to 30 step 2. So a total of 11 combinations. And then we're going to optimize the VWAP time frame as well. So there's 3 combinations, day, week, and month for a grand total of 33 combinations. There'll be 33 back tests that are run in our optimization. So let's do it. So for optimization, we'll click the backtest type optimization. And let's change the Keltner period from 10 to 30. Step 2 or increment 2. And let's optimize the VWAP time frame too. Let's choose to optimize over day, week, and month. Let's do it. Let's run the optimization. It's 33 optimizations total right there. Let's just take a quick look. So the profit factors weren't good, but this is just showing you how you can optimize over drop-down list values and combine them with optimizations of numeric input parameters of your strategy. Now you know how to get your third-party NinjaTrader indicators and over 200 drop-down lists from NinjaTrader into the Quagensia N Edition free trial. Once you do this, you'll be able to quickly build more advanced strategies using your third-party indicators completely without code. Thanks for watching. You can download the Quagensia N Edition free trial from the official download page on the Quagensia website, which is linked to in this video's description. And we hope to see you in our Discord community, where you can get help and collaborate on building no-code strategies with other traders like you.